You got your Oakland A's on. You repping the colors. You repping the town, baby. I see what you're doing.
No. Pull up on my guy one time.
Okay. What's up, man? Good to see you, Wiz. We was just, Tracy G here, DB with us, Heather B will be chiming in. Man, I have to say, to start off this interview with the Oakland, this ain't even an interview, by the way. It's just a conversation. We just catching up, but with the Oakland A's cap, man, it just took my pivot into a whole different direction now, man. Your relationship with the town, man. Can you speak to it, Burner? Talk about the town and your relationship over the years.
Man, that was like one of the first places I smoked really good weed at. That's a bomb ass weed. Mr. Fab actually pointed me in the direction of Big Burn, and that's how we got locked in. Hold on, let me take this bong rip.
Okay, take your time. All right, that's that Khalifa.
Yeah.
The double K.
KK for sure. So yeah, I met Burner through Mr. Fab, and Burner just been my brother ever since. He put me in the weed game, showed me a lot about just branding and opening up businesses. We traveled the world together, and a lot of other artists from out that area too. Sue, Pilo, all of them. It was my young niggas. Sage, all of them. Them was the homies.
When you say he taught you about the game, see, people think the game is all about the flower. You know what I mean? But you indulge now. You're a big player in the game now. What else did you learn outside of the flower that makes this industry what it is?
Burner taught me everything about the genetics and crossing and just how to brand it and the different ways to grow, different things to look for when you're shopping and when you're naming these streets and stuff like that. I've seen them, start cookies from the ground up, not just the tree, but the actual store, the clothing line. Burner's all over the place. And now he's got stores in Miami. He's got stores he started in the Bay, of course, but he's got stores in LA, on Melrose, which is crazy. Vegas. Now he's on Collins in Miami. We're going to the UK as well. So it's big business, man. That's big boss Burn.
Come on, man. And that's, this wasn't the direction I was going to go, but we are celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Rolling Papers. So I feel like it's all in the conversation, because we've been having these conversations, how weed is still classified as a certain level drug. And, in some states you could grow, some states you can't federally, you can't do this, you can't do that. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think I just think
everything is changing. Where we are, this year, we're going to be in a totally different space next year. Everything's on the up and up, and they just made it recreational here in New York, which is crazy. I love that. I'm in New York right now. Well, yeah. But it's recreational here, and it's like, I would have never seen that coming. This is like one of the roughest places when it comes to weed, and it was like a real thing for me. Like I'd be like, yo, I can't spend too much time here because they're gonna freaking bust me. But now that laws are loosening up, and of course I got Khalifa Kush, and we're going to be putting it in different markets and things like that. I'm looking forward to the future of the weed game.
I like it, man. Khalifa Kush, man. Wiz Khalifa is here. Tracy, go ahead, get in there. I know you're probably getting high. You're probably getting contact off this convo.
Through the screen. Absolutely. Wiz, I'm so happy to see you, boy. It has been such a damn long time. Like, at least we have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Soon we'll have like some flesh and hugs, but thinking about how your entrepreneurial spirit has just like extended throughout the years. And I gotta say, you may think that I'm just saying it for fuck's sake, but I have McQueen and the Violet Fog, and that is the best gin I've ever tasted. And it had me thinking, like, with hindsight, when you first came out, how would you grade the younger Wiz Khalifa in terms of his business acumen compared to the present Wiz?
It was always destined to be for me. It was just a process of going through and finding the right way to do it. I never got into anything to be like a billboard for it. So I said no to a lot of things early in my career because they're not organic and they're not real for me. And if it's not the best for me business wise, I don't need to attach myself to it. So, and, I learned a lot from Snoop too, because Snoop literally told me like straight up, bro, like don't stand next to nothing unless they give it to you. So if they want you to sit next to a car, you got to own that car. If they want you to roll up, you need to own the weed. If they want you to pop the bottle, you need to own the company. So I kind of just took that whole mind state and just ran with it to the point where I've been setting up and, buying into companies since the beginning of my career. It's just some of them were, on the up and up, and they just now going public and selling now. Some of them took a little bit of time to develop, from 3 to 5 years. So people wouldn't even know I was working on them until they actually came out. And then a lot of things now is just everything's changing. So a lot of the business models are changing. I have a online only restaurant. Stuff like that didn't exist before. So, you definitely got to move with the times, as well as, put your foot down for the things that are part of my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Has your decision making changed as well? Like looking back, are there certain moves that you made and you're like, I would never do that again?
Nah, I'm happy with every decision that I made. There's definitely some things that are more successful than others, but if I take my time and put the energy into it, then it's something that I believe in, and it's something that I would never, want to get straight out of unless it's not going to work. And you just got to cut ties with some things and keep it moving. But I think that's what makes any successful business person, is to just keep it pushing.
Big facts.
Yep.
After you hear this, Wiz, this ain't young wisdom right here. This is Wiz right here. This after Welcome to Pennsylvania. You hear his vernacular, HB?
I hear it. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good. I'll see you in a minute. How you been?
I've been great. You've been good. I'm so excited for you. So happy for you. Congratulations with everything. Like just reading about all the stuff that you're doing now and all the stuff that's happening. I was wondering, and Tracy asked a great question too, but I was wondering, were you nervous about any of the things at first? Like, not so sure this is when it's going to work out, but it's something in my spirit that's telling me to go for it.
A lot of the business stuff that I do, I have meetings with people. I have a whole team, and I've been with these people since I was 16 years old. Oh. So when we go into things, there's a couple tech companies that have approached us and apps that we invested in. And I never was really nervous, but knowing that some stuff works and some stuff doesn't, it makes you a little bit cautious. You don't jump straight in on everything. And it has to look right. It has to seem right. It has to feel right. And if it doesn't work, then we're all collectively responsible for it. It's not like anybody made me do it. I think that's what makes our team just so strong and like confident and moving forward, is we have, trimmed the fat and kind of just only keep the real important stuff.
Yeah. Did you always have like a lot of patience? Because, when it comes to conversations about millennials or Gen Z, oftentimes we're described as being very impatient, of being addicted to instant gratification. And even when we're thinking about like wealth, you can go on Instagram and you see a lot of people trying to scam you into some really quick stocks, but who don't really have the knowledge, because the long game of money is long. And a lot of people even come into hip hop because they're like, nah, I can see this as a way to get money really fast.
Right.
Yeah. Did you always have this patience, or did you develop it?
Blessed to be able to, my situation kind of pushed me into having a strong mind and knowing that, a real business plan is, like you said, the long game. It takes years. So I developed that thick skin and just knowing it's going to take a little bit for it to happen. It took me 9-10 mixtapes before I really popped off. Like, Kush and Orange Juice is in the later stage. Right. I had a lot going on before that. It's just people don't see the grind and, leading up to that. But that's why I say I feel like I was fortunate, because, it taught me a lot, and it definitely helped me to wait it out and to just, keep hustling and stay down and during the process. And I don't blame a lot of the kids now, because like you said, it's because of Instagram, and that really like it distorts your brain. Like you look at something on here Like, let's take name brand clothes, like designer clothes. Everybody wants to wear designer, but that's not realistic. You know what I'm saying? Like $1,000 for a pair of jeans is not realistic. So people's reality is a little bit crazy, and it's just the world we live in right now.
You know, when I was watching Behind the Cam, you said something that I thought was really interesting, and the piggyback of what Tracy is saying. When you talk about the Instagram and how it's programming kids' minds, and you know, it's kind of dictating how we see things. It's even shaping and molding our opinions. But Behind the Cam, they take you back when you first started doing Twitter, and they show a clip of you saying when you first entered Twitter, and you was telling your whole team, man, this is the wave of the future. This is going to blow. This is how we going to do it, talking directly to our audience. Things have changed since then. How has your relationship with social media has changed? How do you deal with it differently, or if is it the same?
I still I look at it as a tool, and it helps me connect with my fans. It helps me to learn what they're into, and it helps me to express myself. Definitely as time went on, things got more narrowed down. You can't do as much as you wanted to do back in the day. Like, I used to just make freestyles and put them on Twitter, and they would go out. And, you know, that's how the blog started hearing about it. And that's how things really gained the attention. But now things have been narrowed down where you have to go to these outlets, and you have to be on streaming services, and you have to do this. So it took the power from the fans and from the people, and it kind of just made it this fake thing that everybody's trying to get at. So it's cool, it's whatever, but I don't look at it like the same as I used to.
As you too, it's definitely changed, right? Yeah. I saw you talking with Bootleg Kev, and you were talking about the mixtape game and thatpiff.com, and how, you know, it's a lot of kids out here, you know, they think it's easy just to put your music out and you're going to get on these DSPs and get exposure, but you put your music out and nothing happens, right? What have you noticed? Like, how is that going to affect how you roll out music in the future? What have you learned from recent times?
It's just staying busy and staying moving, and the power should be in the hands of the artists and the DJs and the fans and things like that. So it is discouraging to, you know, only have like playlists and weird shit like that. It kind of throws the game off. But my creative side, and just from the era that we come from, we never let anything stop us. We never let nothing hold us back. We'll look at whatever is in the way, and we'll just figure out how to like move around that shit or go under it, or, you know what I'm saying? So That's all that's happening right now, is they just put some shit in the way, and it's like, man, like that niggas just trying to figure out how to maneuver around that shit. That's all.
Hey, Heather, you see his hat. We won't, you know, I'll just go keep you there.
Oh gosh.
You see the hat. DB, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I want to go back to when you were talking about business ventures, because I'm looking at this list of talking points that you have in addition to Rolling Paper's 10-year anniversary. I mean, you got the docuseries that Sway just mentioned, you got the saga Wiz Khalifa, you got Big Pimpin', you got Wiz Weed Farm, you got Duncanville and Dickinson roles of voice animated that you did. I mean, I could keep going on and on, but the reason I bring up the business venture is because you're invested in Professional Fighters League, and which kicked off the new season last month. And I know you're heavily invested and you represent the company, and the popularity of that league is growing rapidly. So I wanted to know about, we were talking this morning about J.Cole. He's playing basketball in the African League, which I'm sure you know about. And there are some people who feel like he's taking spots away from someone who's just a basketball player who's working their way into the league, versus, you know, a guy who's got popularity and a fan base, and he just came on board, and they think that he just kind of, you know, snuck his way in, I guess you could say. And then Rick Ross was defending him, saying, why should he not chase his dreams? And, you know, being somebody who's had his, you know, so many things that you're involved with, I just wanted to know, like, do you feel like just because you're popular or you're a celebrity or you're famous that you should, I guess, think twice about the things you're going to be involved with, because it may take away a spot from somebody else who's, you know, not as famous, doesn't have the fan base or the demographic and that sort of thing?
Nah, I think that we should all have appreciation for each other, whether it's trying something new or whether it's, you know, going into something that's not necessarily your field. If the shoe's on the other foot and, you know, the homies wanted to leave the basketball league and rap, like, we can't tell them like, no, don't rap, just stick to playing basketball. So it's like, it's the same thing. Like if the homie want to go do something, he should be able to go do it. And even with me, fighting and all of that, of course, people are going to look at me like, oh, he's a celebrity, so he's probably not blah, blah, blah. But if I put in the work and if I put in the time and if I really get out there on the mats and I show you what it's hitting for, then you can't really deny it. And that's the thing is like, I really hustle. I really work hard. I'm in the gym 5 days a week. So it really doesn't matter what somebody's opinion would be because I'm putting in the work. And that's what I would expect for anybody who's like trying to pivot or do anything that's not necessarily in their field is people are going to talk shit, but you just got to keep putting in the work. You got to outgrind them and let that be what makes them upset. And like, even with me, having different companies, like say my liquor company, it's successful because I put in the work. It's not just because I'm Wiz Khalifa and I just sit there with a bottle and get faded all day. I'm up in the morning, doing Zoom calls with distributors. I'm doing drops for different liquor stores. I'm doing, fucking saying happy birthday to the nephews. And you know what I'm saying? Like putting in the work to really make them want to buy the product and ship it out and, you know what I mean, do what it do. So as hard as I go in the studio, I go hard everywhere else. So you can't really deny it.
Two things. Sway is super jealous that you're in the gym 5 days a week working out.
I don't believe him. I need to see it. I don't believe him.
Secondly,
You
there
got me
was some
putting up old videos.
That's old videos. I saw you put a filter on that last one.
Yes. Secondly, DB and Wiz, it was breaking news that J.Cole has now left the basketball league in Africa. He's left because of family obligations, so he's no longer playing in that league. That just came out, broke news about an hour or two ago. So he's no longer with the organization. And then thirdly, Wiz, I keep hearing you talking about work. When are you sleeping and not passing out in the studio? When are you eating good food and getting hugged up on?
Never.
Wow.
My mom is out in LA right now.
Peachy.
My mom comes out to see me. She makes sure I'm good. She hold me down. Now I don't sleep much at all, especially with having Bash. I'm full time with him. Absolutely. So I'll snag a couple Z's whenever I can. But it's just that time for me to hustle and put in that work. And you know what I mean? It's definitely going to pay off later, and I'll be able to sleep some other time.
Right.
But you know what? I think part of the hustle too comes from Bash because I co-parent my daughter, and when she was growing up and around Bash's age, and I saw you talk about and behind the cam how once he came, it kind of tightened you up all around everything, and I'm so all that responsibility you wasn't used to, I'm sure, as a young man with a kid. And I remember the same thing. It forced you to learn how to pay the bills. It forced you to learn how to be on time, how to pick up after yourself, when to eat, when to sleep, right? Yeah. And so how did that, just being a father, you think helped you in the business world?
It helped me so much because all I really knew was just grinding and hustling and being on the road and living out of a suitcase. And I didn't have structure because I've been doing music since I was a teen. So it was acceptable, you know what I'm saying, for me to kind of just eat and leave shit somewhere and somebody else is going to pick up after it, or be in the studio all night and not really give a fuck about what's going to happen the next day because I didn't have too many responsibilities. So he's a blessing because he made me value my normal life. There's times where I don't go to the studio. I mean, and I would have never done that before, but it's like, if he's like, yo, daddy, I want you to read stories to me, or I want you to watch a movie with me. Boom, I'm shutting the studio down. I'm not going to tell him like, yo, I have to do this or you have to do. There's times where it goes back and forth where there are sacrifices, but I would never want him to think that, my time with him isn't that important to me. And just having that pride in that and loving that and being able to tell the homies like, nah, y'all go do what y'all doing. I got my kid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that feels good. I take a lot of pride.
That's really dope. Yeah, man.
Oftentimes, like when a man has a daughter, and we've heard some of your peers in the game, they'll say, wow, it took having a daughter for me to like understand women or to see through a woman's eyes. And now hearing you speak so beautifully about Bash, I'm wondering if you thought about masculinity differently when you have to teach it. You know what I mean? Because I imagine as a parent, you're like, oh, your awareness just like triples when you're seeing that someone else is, kind of reflecting your actions, your attitudes.
Right. I was raised by my dad and my mother, but I got a really solid dad. and he always showed me love. We hug each other, we tell each other we love each other, and he taught me how to be solid, how to be tough too. But my main thing for Bash is he's grown up in a totally different time. Bullying is a little bit different because he's on the game with his friends and they're talking shit to each other and they're saying what they're saying, and just regular stuff that when you're a kid, you don't realize you have to be programmed to cope with this stuff. And that's mainly what it is me just trying to not tell him what to do or what not to do, but just program how to deal with it. If he's upset, all right, you're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to feel bad because those are real feelings. But how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to let it affect you in a way where, all right, maybe you don't want to play with that kid no more. If you're that pissed that he's going to make you cry, just stop playing with him. Or make him feel the way that, there's different ways to like, it's just all about the situation and just being really, really sensitive and aware that their feelings and what they're telling you is freaking true. And that's all I do with him.
You're very soft spoken with him too. And I love it. The way you communicate with him. I watched that. I noticed it. It was so exceptional in my opinion. I want to talk about, this is a 10-year anniversary, right? Of Rolling Papers. And by the way, thank you I saw the clips of Rap Fix on the behind the cam and us posing me. You dug up a picture of me, you and Saigon, bro, that I'd never even seen before. I was like, whoa!
That was like the first episode, I think.
Yeah, that was in the first episode. And I was like, wow, because you never know how people, the way y'all position that and how things start picking up for you after say, yeah, and you was going through a transition and y'all were becoming independent. I remember that time. Mm-hmm. I remember you coming up to MTV and us sitting and starting to cover, who Wiz Khalifa is.
Yeah.
After Kush and Orange Juice and all of this stuff started happening. But that was a really explosive time. Mm-hmm. Lupe had Lasers, Schoolboy Q had Setbacks. I think Kendrick had Section 80. Mm-hmm. Drake had Take Care. Mm-hmm. Cole had a Cold World project. Paint the picture. What was it like back then? What was running through your mind then? Did you see yourself as a competitor? Were you happy at the time this album released?
The blog era was crazy. It was fun. It was happy. I was happy to be a part of it. And, we all jammed each other's music at that time. That was the dope part. Mm-hmm. We were all listening to each other and kind of gaining inspiration, but just doing things from our own perspective. And that's what the fans were into because they had a lot of variety. It wasn't even really about where you were from at that time. It wasn't regional at all. It was just like, if you was fired and you was fired. And the way to like stay, in it was to compete. It was a competition. So you hear somebody do this, you're like, oh man, I gotta do a freestyle. I gotta do that. And then niggas start teaming up, like me and Currency started linking and started seeing the wave kind of change. And, some of us had jewelry, some of us didn't, some of us had Louis, some of us didn't. It was like, it was up and down and it was a really fun time. And like I was saying too, we were all really, really lyrical. You know what I'm saying? None of us were compromising what we were trying to say for the popularity. Everybody was just inviting everybody into our world, our beat selection, the way we dress, the music that inspires us, the movies that inspire us, and it built a whole, it kind of spawned a whole, little baby generation, and they growing up now too. So it's all good.
It was a beautiful era, bro. It was a beautiful era. Peep this. As being on the side, out on the media side, really on the culture side, to be quite honest with you, it was a beautiful time to be sitting and talking with y'all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the energy that was happening right there. Big Sean, Crit had a project, and
violent too. Like none of us fought each other.
Word.
Nobody had beef, right?
None of us.
Damn, that's crazy. Now I heard Drake talk, congratulations to Drake for getting that Artist of the Decade award, right? And he said something really interesting about thanking his peers for keeping him up at night, guessing what should he do next, being inspired by them. Are you still inspired by that same group of people that you can't, that you kind of got known with?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm hella inspired. I don't think you ever get tired of that. Like, I feel like we all branched out and have done different things, but if we ever decide to get back in that pocket, is like you just gonna feel the same way. It's gonna be that same love. And even with everything that they do now, or even new people, I just love music so much. I love the energy of it. I love seeing people come from, you know, nothing to something. And I get excited when I see that. Or like even Drake winning the award. That's motivation, because it's like in the next couple decades, who's the artist of that decade going to be? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I haven't won a Grammy yet, you know what I'm saying? But I watch Weeknd fucking have this many Grammys, and he was coming to my shows, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's awesome to me. I love that. And it does motivate me. And it's like, I still got work to put in, you know, I'm not done.
You said that to me, man, when we were at the DMX listening. You know, one of the things that stuck out, you didn't say hardly nothing. I mean, by the way, man, you kind of took over that listening party with that KK. Oh, never mind. Motion. But you looked at me, you said, man, I'm back at work. I'm back at work. What did you mean by that? What
you mean?
What did you mean when you said, man, I'm back at work? It sounded like you were saying, I know I've been gone. But you ain't really been going.
I haven't been gone. I just think like with the world being like freezing, I'm one of the last ones to kind of get back moving. I've seen people on flyers and in strip clubs, and they're on jets. Like that was my first flight that I took the whole time, was to come here and was to, like, you know, get back in the mix and just start fucking with people. Like I know hella people were surprised to see me in there, because it's like, damn, what the fuck is Wiz doing here? But it's like, I am a real person, and I do fuck with hella people. So it's like, if I need to pop up to remind niggas, go to the studio, show up, tap in, whatever, I'm gonna do that, as well as, you know, make dope ass music, come out with crazy visuals and content. And it's just gonna all, you know, be a natural flow of, you know, like I said, me getting back to work.
Okay, man. Wiz Khalifa, brother. Man, I want to congratulate you on it all, man. All the businesses. This, you know, the re-release of Rolling Papers. You know, we got a Nipsey Hussle verse we didn't have. Is that correct?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. When did he record that?
That was the original version. Yeah, that was supposed to be on Rolling Papers, but his label at the time that he was with, they didn't clear the record. But, you know, we were all so close. We all messed with each other so much. We had just come off of, you know, the Double XL thing, and Nip was doing his thing. And that was my first album, like my first major release. So I'm like, I got to use my platform to, you know, to get my guy out there.
Okay. All right, man. And you guys got anything else you want to say to Wiz?
We love Wiz.
Love Tracy.
Love you guys too.
Love you too. And I want to see you. Are you thinking about being in How High 3? I want to see you with Red and Meth.
Yes. Yeah, I'll definitely be at How High 3. Shout out to Red and Meth. Them is the ghosts for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool, man. Hey, Wiz, we love you, brother, man. I want